guest speaker. He has been on all the platforms this year, not only speaking to contribute, but also being behind the scenes and helping to push the youth agenda. And when we had come at the crossroads to offer tremendous support to the events, let's even appreciate him even before he comes. Oh, come on, let's put our hands together and appreciate him. So he happens to be the Chief Executive Officer and Principal Partner of AIG and AIG International Switzerland. He's responsible for the development and implementation of the company's long-term strategy and effective prioritization of resource allocation to realize long-term value and achieving sustainable competitive advantage for clients and their stakeholders. Dr. Ankrah is an investment banker, a global business strategist, and a development economist. He has more than 20 years successful experience in providing physical and operations leadership in uniquely challenging situations. He has repeatedly produced sustained revenue and EBITDA growth in dynamic and changing markets. Dr. Ankrah has proven track record in management, in finance and economics, investment banking, leasing, factoring and forfeiting oil and gas, private pension management. He was educated in the United Kingdom, where he lives both in the UK and in Ghana, a degree in statistics and management from University of London, an MBA finance and management, a leadership advantage program from Cranfield School of Management, UK, an MSc in economics, social science, and PhD in philosophy and social science, all from the Pan American University of Science and Medicines. Also, Dr. Ankrah has completed and obtained MSc in economics, PhD in finance from UNISAD, among others, and it can go on and on. He has acted as the local rep and investment advisor. Join me, let's welcome. He has received several awards as well from Cuba and other notable platforms. And finally, he's a director and partner in Switzerland. He's the board chairman of Nguya DC Ghana, now the Sub-Sahara Africa. He has subsequently been voted among the top 50 personalities in the continent of Africa for their innovation, creativity, drive. Join me, let's welcome Dr. Sam Ankrah. Oh, come on. Let's appreciate him. Oh, let's rise up and give him a standing ovation as he comes to deliver his speech. And then we will move on to the rest. Oh, come on, UCC. This is the grand finale. Let's do it better.
Mr. Chairman, my fellow guest speakers, every invited guest here, dear students, I am honored to have been asked to give this keynote address for the summit and to share my thoughts on developing entrepreneurial youth. Indeed, the youth, their progression and development are issues very dear to my heart. Hence my eagerness to abandon any schedule to heed to the call when invited. Let me use this opportunity to thank the organizers for inviting me once again. I have not come to address you. Neither have I come to give you a lecture or an instruction. I've really come to discuss a problem with you, for us to deliberate and find solutions to a subject that can be solved only when ultimately the student, the lecturer, and the government who makes the policies understands it. I'm hoping that after I'm done speaking, there will not be lots of inspirations, but lots of applications. That you will not just be glad and excited you came, but more importantly, what you do with what I say after the event is over and the curtain has been drawn. I am here to encourage you and also to help you understand this critical decision you may have to make. The success of this gathering is not a standing ovation. It's not about you walking out here. It's about you walking out here with a game plan. It wasn't long ago when I was in the same position as many of you here today. And I guess I'm still young. Where I was overwhelmed by possibilities, yet unsure of how to proceed or make my next step. I felt the different pressures internally from my personal dreams and aspirations, and externally from society's expectations. I remembered all the sacrifices made by my family to get me into this point, and the hope reposed in me to make me a better life for myself. I didn't want to disappoint myself or those who were relying heavily on me to succeed. I'm sure many of you can relate to this, and that you probably feel that you are at an important crossroads. Ladies and gentlemen, this summit theme is developing an entrepreneurial youth. So you may ask, what is an entrepreneurial youth? Since we are in academic certain, and I don't want to disappoint many of you scholars here, permit me to break it down in the term and define the word. The Oxford Dictionary defines entrepreneur as a person who makes money by starting or running businesses, especially when this involves taking risk or taking financial risk. Investopedia defines an entrepreneur as an individual who creates a new business, bearing most of the risk and enjoying most of the rewards. From these two definitions, it is evident that in the DNA of an entrepreneur to take risk for rewards. Now let's move into defining youth, a category that most of you fall onto. According to United Nations, there is no universally agreed definition of the youth age group. For statistical purposes, however, the United Nations, without prejudice to any other definitions made by member states, defines youth as those persons between the ages of 15 and 24 years. The Africa Youth Charter of the African Union defines as persons between the ages of 15 and 35 years old. According to this definition, can be described as a very useful continent. From statistics in the Mo Ibrahim Foundation in 2020, Africa's population under 35 represents 1 billion people, of which 540.8 million were from the ages of 1 to 14 years old, and 554.5 million were from the ages of 15 to 34 years old, amounting to a whopping 22.7% of the world's total population. Ghana is no exception to this continent's trend. We're generally a young population, with approximately 57% of all Ghanaians being under the age of 25. That is according to our 2020 census. When I see such statistics, it excites me because it means as a country and a continent, we have a vast amount of potential and human capital to harness. Entrepreneurs play an important role in society. As described earlier by most of the speakers earlier, and also by economist Joseph Schumpeter in his book, Entrepreneurs Act as a Force for Creative Destruction, sweeping away established technologies, products, and ways of doing things, and replacing them with others that the marketplace as a whole see as representing greater value. In this sense, entrepreneurs are agents of change and hopefully progress. Entrepreneurs who displays the home kerosene with brighter and cleaner burning gas in the middle 80s. It was the same entrepreneurs, Rich Edison, that moved into electric system. And then he moved on to the fluorescent lights, displacing the previous incandescent lights. So we see this pattern repeated virtually in every industry. Entrepreneurs invent or commercialize new technologies that displaces the old one. Again, photocopying from the original computer, the World Wide Web that we are here, the spreadsheet, the new improved drug therapies, and all the many inventions and business technologies that entrepreneurs have created. They have also introduced new products and services, the next day delivery packages, crowd fundraising, so many things that has been done, using drone to deliver blood and medication to deprived areas. All these inventions, creativity, understanding are people that sat and thought through process, looked at the problem and found a solution and commercialized a solution. Entrepreneurs have given us mundanely useful things that our grandparents and parents would not even have imagined. We can take computers along wherever we go, our laptops, our iPhones, Androids. We can have milk in our chop boxes at school without refrigeration. All these are inventions, creativity of people that dare to dream. These services and products improve our lives. Many are also beneficial to society and also to the planet. So in conceiving all these new products and services and forming and running enterprises to bring the customers and the users, entrepreneurs often sweep away stagnant industries and replace them with growing ones that generate new jobs, often with higher wages. Thus, we have a central role in building wealth and dynamism in societies. The world, our societies, cannot and never live without entrepreneurs. So the question is this the situation in our society? Is that what we see among ourselves? Isn't it ironic when universities like ours, built over years, purpose to produce creative individuals, and yet the most basic of basic, that is agriculture, which has been the mainstream over the years of our economy, has not seen any enhancement, progress, or technological advancement from these institutions. Our curriculum and academic exercise have been mainly theory with less practical thinking and room for creativity. China just started growing cocoa and have built an advanced technological ecosystem around it to increase in productivity, the time of harvest, profitability, and all the others. The introduction of greenhouses, drying plants, and all this have moved them and made them a game changer in the business where African giants, Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, have played duopoly for the years. And yet, with our institutions, our universities, our farmers are still using archaic rudiments and old methods. University like this has existed over several decades and have not supported industry with our entrepreneurial creativity because our structure of education has not given us yet the room to be creative and innovative with our ideas or dreams. I'm not saying this to bring our education system down, but I'm raising this challenge to you to cause a paradigm to a new generation of thinkers who are ready to discuss the status quo and dare to be different. There is a time when education progresses from just producing labor force for a country into efficiency-driven phase with the beginning of high-standard curriculum and assessment, then to thinking schools where we prepare great entrepreneurs, workforce, and experts suited for the global market. This is a dimension I'm hoping for you. This is a dimension I require managers of our institutions and our government to lift our great schools to. We are in an era where we either innovate or we die in every facet of our human living. Referring back to the theme of today's summit, I want us to distill the essence of entrepreneurship and what it means to develop entrepreneurial youth. Kindly permit me to expand the discussion beyond the strict business limits. There is a general notion and thought that entrepreneurship can be an afterthought, where a graduate who cannot find employment or a school dropout can be pushed into it. But that's a fallacy. Real entrepreneurs or entrepreneurship is inculcated into young people in the early stage of their education, where young people must be trained to understand that setting up their own or being creative is not a failure or a setback, but a call to great leadership. Entrepreneurs are leaders first of all. They are creative, they are innovative, they are results-oriented, and they are daring individuals who are ready to take risk for rewards. The attitude and desire to own one business is synonymous to the calling for preachers to do the work of God. It is not a substitute to individuals struggling for work or school dropouts, but it's a route to greatness. I am aware, in the strictest sense, that the word entrepreneur does not apply to everyone here. I am not of the school of thought that subscribe to the notion that everyone should be an entrepreneur. People's career path differs, and I do not think everyone should be boxed into entrepreneurship, or indeed entrepreneurship should be hailed as a superior career choice. However, I do believe that examining the mindset of an entrepreneur and gathering the nuggets from this perspective can aid the youth like you, whatever career path that you choose, to do what I mean and have an entrepreneurial mindset. How do you have an entrepreneurial mindset? It's like when Henry Ford said, the founder of Ford Motors, he sums it up in the best way when he said, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you are right. This implies when you think positive, you are right. When you think negative, you are right. It starts from having a positive mental attitude. Your mind is an amazing mechanism. When your mind works one way, it can carry you forward to an astounding sources. But the same mind, operating in a different manner, can produce a total failure. The mind is the most delicate, most sensitive instrument in all creation. The body reflects the diet that you put in. On the same token, the mind is what is fed. It starts with your own mind. The entrepreneurial mind could first have a notion that it is possible, it can be done. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? I ask you this question. Are you thinking of getting into one of these top corporations, MTN, Coca-Cola, in town, or you are looking to set up a top corporation? Is the mindset. What you think, it can be done. The greatest philosopher who ever lived on this earth, the carpenter's son, said, and I quote, "As a man thinketh, so shall he be." you become what you think about. If you're looking to be an employee, you will be an employee. If you want to be an employer, you will be an employer. It starts from the thinking. Nothing has ever been achieved or done without first coming through a thought process of a dreamer who dared to step out of the comfort zone and not wanting to be part of the statistics, unemployed graduate association, but dared to be different and take leadership as an entrepreneur. It is ultimately a positive mindset that has a vision of what can be and what needs to be done. That doesn't mean that there's days when you don't feel low or down. It means that you have created mechanisms that lift you up from such moments and keep you up in a positive track. I'm standing here and there was a whole lot of words and things I've done over the years. It didn't happen overnight. It's a mindset. As I said earlier, as a man thinketh, so shall it be. You can easily do it. It has to start from your thought process. How else can we develop the entrepreneurial mindset in young people like yourself? My list is a very exhaustive one, but in summary of my own experience on this journey and the lessons I've learned, one of the most important things is to take risk. Most, if not all, definitions I have given you earlier of entrepreneurship involve the element of risk-taking. Indeed, it's essential to the whole concept. Taking risk can seem very countercultural in rather a very conservative society such as ours. But to develop the entrepreneurial mindset, we must learn to take calculated risk. In our risk avoidance culture these days, we place high premium on safety. We insure even our holidays. We insure our cars. We extend our warranties on our appliances, mobile phones, even our watches, we extend warranties on them. By insulating ourselves from the unknown, the risk of life, we miss the great adventure of living our lives to their full potential. To this, we must overcome our fear. It has been said that fear stands for a false evidence appearing real. I have found this to be a very accurate description. Fear often inhibits us from achieving our full potential and goals. You may be surprised and encouraged to learn that while inability to deal with fear may look and feel like a logical problem, in most cases it isn't. I believe it's primarily an education problem, and that by re-educating the mind, you can accept fear as simply a fact of life rather than a barrier to success. Fearlessness is a must-have trait to develop entrepreneurial mindset, and the more it's developed, the stronger it becomes. Whenever we take chance and enter unfamiliar territory or put ourselves into the world in a new way, we experience fear. Very often, this fear keeps us from moving ahead with our lives. The trick is feel the fear and do it anyway. Ariana Huffington, the president and editor-in-chief of the Huffington Post Media Group, said, and I quote, "Fearlessness is like a muscle. I know from my own life that the more I exercise it, the more natural it becomes to not let my fear run me." Following in from this, another lesson I learned was not being afraid to fail. That doesn't mean that if you fail in your exams, you tell your parents, Dr. Ankrah said, I shouldn't be afraid to fail. What it means is that there will be times when we fall short and do not meet expectations. In short, there will be times when we fail, and we must accept that. The most important thing is how we react to failure and what we learn from failure. When the editor asked Thomas Edison, how did it feel to fail 1,000 times? Edison replied, I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps. Great success is built on frustration, even catastrophe. Albert Einstein, as we all know and worship, did not speak until he was 4 years old and could not read until he was 7 years old. In the words of Seth Godin, the founder of Scudo, the only thing worse than starting something and failing is not starting something. Having an entrepreneurial mindset involves a lot of patience. In this technological era, where we are so used to getting things instantly, microwave, patience can seem like a very outmoded word. However, developing an entrepreneurial mindset means being patient on at least 2 levels, with yourself and with the process. Whatever career path you choose is a journey which requires time and patience to develop. Dangote once said, and I quote, you can easily tell that hard work and perseverance go hand in hand with patience. We often hear people say patience is worth it, yet we don't practice it. I did, and look at how well it has worked out for me. Let's learn from the masters and work with patience and perseverance. Many of you are at the start of your careers, and at this juncture, you shouldn't be afraid to start small. And as the saying goes, don't despise the small beginnings. My journey is a testament. The small beginnings is what's going to take you to the brighter places. As you can see, I wasn't born a great man, but I had to work my knowledge, skills, develop my ideas, so that I can be the man I present to you before you today. I wouldn't have got to where I am without with the help of those close circle of friends. The right friendship groups can make or break your career. I have had friends pulling together to develop ideas and businesses, which can be very worthwhile ventures. We have a clear example of this in Ghana entrepreneurship landscape. The friendship between Osei Kwame Despite, president of the Despite Group, and Esofori of Special Investments is one worth emulating and looking at mutually beneficial friendships. The co-founder of LinkedIn, Reid Hoffman, said, and I quote, the fastest way to change yourself is to hang out with people who are already the way you want to be. The fastest way to change yourself is to hang out with people who are already the way you want to be. Friendships are those I would describe as being in your inner circle or closer circle, but it doesn't prohibit you from extending your wider network and making the most of social media connections as well. Social media makes developing network much easier and more accessible. Therefore, be careful with how you engage with social media and how you present yourself. Many potential employers like myself and clients may form an opinion, positive or negative, about how you present yourself with your social media interactions. My advice is to make sure you put your best foot forward in all your social media engagements. Networking doesn't only happen virtually. It is also important to network physically as well. You are blessed to be part of a university environment where everywhere you turn, there's potential network. Colleagues, lecturers, administrators, service providers, guest speakers like ourselves. Makes the most of campus experience, network, and your future self will be thankful. One important thing I would like to share with you with regards to developing entrepreneurial mindset in young people is something I think particularly important for most of you at this stage of your career development. Please do not look at your degree as just a piece of paper. It is an embodiment of the development of a set of knowledge and, most importantly, transferring skills that stand in you in good stead for the future. I'm talking about the presentation skills, the communication skills, the negotiation skills, the marketing skills, the leadership responsibilities. Make the most of these skills, refine them, polish them as you go along. Your ability to master such skills will enable you to stand out of the crowd and achieve the set goals and be a true entrepreneur or a leader. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Most people don't believe me when I say that, but it is true. The more you try to do so in life, the more you will find that leadership makes a difference. Any endeavor you undertake that involves other people will live or die depending on leadership. As you work to build your organizations, remember this: personnel determines the potential of the organization. Relationships determine the morale of the organization. Structure determines the size of the organization. Vision determines the direction of the organization. Leadership determines the success of the organization. As I draw my address to a close, I wish you success. Pursue your dreams. Desire excellence. Become the person you were created to be and accomplish all that you were put in earth to do. Leadership will help you to do that. Learn to lead, not just for yourself, but for the people who will follow you behind you. As you reach the highest levels, don't forget to take others with you to the other level as well. I want to wish you all the best in whatever career path you decide to embark on. And I hope that a few insights I've shared with you today will prove useful in encouraging you along the way. Thank you, and God bless you.
Don't we say what we thank you with this? Oh, is it nice? Oh, show some love. We Sam Ankrah. Oh, show some love. Sam Ankrah. Sam Ankrah. Our senior lecturer representing. Oh, come on, let's do better as he presents this. God, we say thank you for your investment into this program. Oh, come on. Oh, let's go.
Young people should understand that entrepreneurship is more of a creative, innovative, daring, risk-taking environment. It's not a program where you've been kept in a classroom or in a field for a period to grab a knowledge and use. If you are not focused, if you are not a risk taker, if you are not a dreamer, if you are not ready to go through those difficult times and perseverance, count yourself out of being an entrepreneur. So my advice to the young people is they should understand, first of all, the basis, what causes them into the entrepreneurship field before they do. I've always been against having camps and putting kids in classrooms and expecting them to go out there and do anything meaningful. I think the most appropriate way to do is, there are a lot of professionals that have graduated from these universities that have set up. You have architects, you have lawyers, you have doctors, do apprenticeship. Take these students to go there. Government should fund and pay the fees and let the young men learn the skills. And when you give them 5 years, when they leave 5 years, they are also setting up and they are also employing. But whereby you are calling programs like NACOP, programs, it's basically would not have the necessary effects or the impact that we are looking to do. Our unemployment system is very, very high. The students are coming out on a regular basis. And it's more important that we sit down, have a clear-cut solution and address this problem. And I think the best way is to, first of all, identify all these potential professionals that have already gone through and set up. Take these students through them after graduation as apprentices. Give them exit route after 5 years, let them set up, let them also employ. The cycle continues and you keep engaging people and then you keep reducing employment and creating wealth for these young people.